Thank you so much, Pretty. First of all, I want to welcome everybody here this morning. I'm excited to do this presentation. I'm not going to be with y'all really long. Most of y'all probably know I'm a teacher at the high school, and I've only taken off half a day, and my students told me to hurry up and get back. So, yeah, they don't want the sub. I'll let y'all know they want the real teacher. So a couple of them text me already and say, hurry up and get back. So. But no, I'm delighted to be here. The library is a very special place in me and my wife's heart. We was really close with Mary Brown. We took our kids to the original library, and so we was there for all the children's programs. You name it. And then when Pretty came along, we were already friends with Pretty, real close friends. Many people probably don't know, and we shared with some people when they first came in. We were going to name our daughter Pretty. That's how close we were with her, because some people don't know. Like everybody in our family, our names start with P. There's Patrick, Pergina, Patrick Jr., Princess, and Philip. Now the funny thing about when Philip came along, Princess was still young. We say we're going to name him Philip, and Princess was like, "Well, Philip starts with an F." We was like, no, it's PH. It starts with a P.
She was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, we were going to name Princess. We were like that close. We were going to name her Pretty. And so, the library has a really special place in our hearts. So, to be able to come here and give this presentation is right up our alley. And I want to say to all of you, kudos for being here, especially for the content, what I'm going to share on today. Now, I'm first of all going to talk a little bit about my journey as a writer. Just really quick, I think the last time I was here, I think I just done 2 books. I didn't have as much gray in my beard last time I was here. And I didn't wear glasses back then. Now, I hit that, I think it was 47 mark, and all of a sudden words became very blurry to me. So these are not like fashionable glasses. These help me read, so I can see. But believe it or not, really quick, I didn't always enjoy writing. Writing was not something that I enjoyed at all, especially in school. It was one of the things I disliked the most when I was a student. And that began to change during my senior year in high school. My senior year in high school, I had a teacher by the name of Miss Roberts. Many of y'all probably remember know Miss Roberts, and I had Miss Johns. I also had another teacher. I can't really remember her name, but she was a science teacher. And all of these teachers required in their class for me to write in a journal. I hated journals. I thought they were the devil. I was like, we got to write in this thing again today. And little did I know, it started building a muscle in me that I didn't know that I had. And it started developing a daily discipline to begin develop something in me that I didn't really know that was placed inside of me. And then I went to college. I don't know if they still have this in college, but in college they had this thing called the Gordon Rule, where you had to write thousands of words a semester. And that was something that I thought was crazy. And I found myself having to write, not necessarily because I wanted to, but because if I didn't want to come home and, if I wanted to stay in college, I had to do this writing. And so I did all of this writing while I was in college. And then, of course, later in my life, I got called to pastor at the age of 21 and planted the church. And suddenly, writing became more than just academic. It became more than an academic requirement. It became a necessary part of my calling. And so I was preparing to preach twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And back then, when I started preaching, I didn't have a computer. I had to, and Elder Perry probably definitely knows what I'm talking about. I had to write my sermons out, like with a legal pad and a pen. And you still do that. That's awesome. That is awesome. Big kudos to you. And what I was doing is doing all of that time. I was constantly studying, organizing my thoughts, developing messages, and putting those thoughts into words. And when I first started preaching, I didn't have the convenience of using a computer. I was writing, and little did I know God was behind the scenes kind of guiding what I would be doing in life. And as I look back, I realized every one of those experiences was developing something in me. And the journal writing was developing me. The college papers were developing me. The sermons were developing me. And the weekly discipline of putting my thoughts on paper was developing me. And all of those experiences were building a muscle that I didn't know I had. And that is one of the first lessons I want to share with you all today, is that writing, or writers are not simply born, they're developed. And that's something that I didn't know. You may not consider yourself a writer today. You may not even love writing. But, you may even believe that writing is something you're not particularly good at. But writing is a muscle. And if you develop it long enough, you'll see how stronger it becomes. My journey didn't begin with the dream of becoming a writer. It began with simply learning to put my thoughts on paper. And eventually those thoughts became sermons, sermons became ideas, those ideas became manuscripts, and those manuscripts became books. And it was something that I learned along the way. So I want to talk to y'all for a little bit. I'm going to ask my wife to come up here for a second, just in case y'all don't know her. She's too pretty for me to just dive in the back, so. Because she's the lady who puts up with me while I'm go into this cave and go into writing. I'm going to just let you greet them really quick.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Regina Maxwell, Pastor Maxwell's wife of almost 30 years, 29, about to be 29 years. And as he mentioned, we believe God has called us to minister to people through the gifting He's given us of writing. He's gotten more books out than I have. If you were to go home with
But I always say we write them together. We write them together.
But if you were to go home with us, I have like an entire room of manuscripts of books that we are working on. But we count it an honor and a privilege to be here, Ms. Pretty, and to the library staff. Thank you all for inviting us. And we pray that what we give to you all today will help you if you are thinking about writing a book. So if we're open books, and we pray that everything we give will be a blessing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, so this time is called, we call it the author's blueprint. And so one of the things I want to talk about is why I believe everybody should do their best in writing a book, no matter your age, no matter your educational background, economical background. And I'm going to talk to you about some of the reasons why I think maybe it's something you should think about. So let's get into it. All right, so here's the first thing I want you to understand. And I'm a teacher by heart, so I kind of gave y'all some papers, kind of goes along with the slideshow. So the first thing I want you to understand is your story can change someone's life. Believe it or not, no matter what your story is, it can change someone's life. You may consider your experiences ordinary because you've lived them. But to someone else, what you have experienced could be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Think about everything you survived. Many of you survived so many tragedies and so many crisis experiences in life, family experiences, financial experiences, health experiences, and even things not just things that you didn't just survive, but things you accomplished, things you were victorious in. And there are lessons that are buried inside of those experiences that you've had. Someone may be struggling with something you have already made it through, and you don't have to have a dramatic story to have a valuable story. Sometimes the most powerful books simply say, I've been where you are, here's what I learned. And the books I've written is basically just that. It's just, hey, this is where I've been and this is what I've learned. And your experience can become someone else's encouragement. It could be something you survived, you know, something in school, you know, maybe a horrific family experience or health situation. And believe it or not, it could end up becoming somebody's encouragement. All right, here's the next thing I want you to get is that number 2, a book allows you to leave a legacy. It allows you to leave a legacy. Because here's the truth. Money can be spent, possessions can be lost, buildings can be torn down, but words have the ability to live for generations. Think about it. We're still reading Shakespeare stuff, you know, hundreds of years later. We're reading books that are centuries old. And the legacy that those authors, those writers, those men and women have written, they still live today. That's something powerful about a book. Think about this library. This library is filled with books. Probably maybe half of the authors of these books have passed on and go on. But their words and their books are still with us and still changing lives. That's one of the powerful things, another powerful thing about a book. You know, imagine your grandchildren or great-grandchildren being able to pick up a book and that you wrote and discover what you believed as a grandma. The experiences you had, the mistakes you made, the lessons you learned, and what mattered to you the most. Writing allows you to leave more than just memories, you can leave wisdom. You know, even if it's something you just write for your children, something you write for your family, you know, that's really, really powerful. Your voice does not have to disappear after it's gone. And that's one of the amazing things about book writing. Here's another thing. Writing, believe it or not, helps you to understand yourself better. One of the surprising benefits I found out is that as I have written books is that you often discover things about yourself during the process. Writing forces me to ask questions like, what do I really believe? What have I learned? What did that experience, or why did that experience affect me? What would I do differently? What do I want other people to learn from my journey? Sometimes you don't even have to fully understand your experiences until you try to put them into words. Writing doesn't just reveal your story to the reader, it can reveal your story to you. And that's something amazing about when you put your experiences into words. Here's another one. Number 4, a book establishes your credibility. There's something powerful about being able to say, I wrote a book about that. It's something very powerful about it. I will let y'all know that. If you're knowledgeable about a particular subject, writing a book gives you an opportunity to demonstrate that knowledge. A teacher can write about education, a coach can write about leadership, a pastor can write about ministry, a business owner can write about entrepreneurship, a parent can write about raising children, a survivor can write about overcoming adversity. You don't have to know everything about a subject. And I think many times what I find when I talk to people and I encourage them to write a book, they'd be like, I'm not an expert in that area. You don't have to know everything about something in order to write about something. Most authors, they will tell you, I don't know everything about this subject, but I do know enough to help somebody else. And a book can transform what you know into something other people recognize. All right? Here's the next one. A book allows you to reach people you may never meet. One of the amazing things I love, and I get this at least once a month, I get a response or I get a message from someone, because all of my books are on Amazon. I get messages from people in other states and even other countries. They're like, hey, I read your book and it really blessed me, or it really touched this area of my life. It really helped me with this or that. And I never met these people before. Probably would never see them in person. And a book, you know, it really gives you the ability to reach people that you would never meet. But not only while I'm alive, these books will be available forever. Any book, you know, that is published in a national publishing company, for the most part, is going to be here forever. You know, and so it gives you the ability to meet people you would never meet, but your book can be somewhere without you being there. That's something incredible. You know, you could be sleeping while someone's reading your book. You could be at home while your book is being read in another state. You could be speaking to 100 people while your book is simultaneously speaking to thousands more. That's one of the beautiful things about writing is that your words can travel farther than you can. A book allows you to multiply your influence. Here's another thing. Writing a book forces you to grow. You know, many people have ideas. Fewer people turn those ideas into something tangible. Writing a book, it requires discipline. I will let you know that. If you're gonna say, hey, I want to write something, it requires discipline. You got to get off Facebook. You got to turn off the TV. You got to do whatever you need to do to focus in to get it done. My wife would tell you when I get to writing, I turn off the college football games. You know, I turn off the TV, whatever, because I'm trying to focus on getting it done. And generally, when I'm writing, I set myself a deadline. For instance, this summer, I went into the summer saying, hey, I want to write 3 books. And it was a mental grind. One of the books I wrote was the longest book I have ever written, which is the book Special Delivery. It's a book over 200 pages. I think it's like 240 pages. I had never written a book that long. But it was a mental grind. A lot of being up at 2 and 3 in the morning, up early in the morning. And generally, a lot of times, a lot of my writing, believe it or not, it doesn't come with me just sitting at a desk. Like I could be walking on the treadmill and I'm typing on my phone. Or I can be in the car and I'll speak into my phone, you know, because inspiration can come at any time. You know, I can be in, you know, I was going to say McDonald's, but I don't eat in McDonald's. But I could be in a restaurant, you know, eating somewhere, and all of a sudden inspiration comes. And how many of y'all know, like when inspiration comes to you about something, if you say, oh, I'm going to write that down when I get home, you forgot when you get home. You're like, oh my gosh, I had this thought and I was going to write it down, but I didn't write it down. Now all of a sudden that thought is gone. Yeah, so what I try to do is when I have a thought or I have inspiration, I try to either write it down or I put it in my phone or put it in my computer immediately because, you know, I'm not the type of person who says I got to sit down at the desk all the time and just type, because sometimes inspiration doesn't come like that. Sometimes inspiration comes at many times the most inopportune moments, and you have to take advantage of it. But it forces you to grow. You know, a lot of times when I'm writing, I'm thinking, this book is trash. I'm not going to publish this. You know, sometimes I might want to quit. You know, I'm asking myself, is this a book good enough to inspire people? Because a lot of times when people are writing books, they're writing books to bless themselves. But when I'm writing books, I'm thinking about what can help and bless others. What can bless somebody's family? What can help somebody's marriage? Me and my wife, one of the books we did earlier this year, which I was really excited about this one, is a book we did called Together. And it is a book about marriage. And because one of the things we learned is that if couples just realize they're on the same team, they'll win. It's kind of like in sports. You know, a lot of times teams don't do well when there's infighting. You know, when you got the quarterback fighting against the wide receiver, or you got the point guard on the basketball team fighting against the centers. A lot of times those teams don't do well. In the same way it is in marriage. If you just recognize you're on the same team, you could do a whole lot better. But when we was writing the book, I was thinking about how is it we can help other couples from our experiences. And it's kind of just a compilation. We have done numerous workshops and conferences and retreats and messages on marriage. And it's just like a compilation of some of the things we have learned and taught during that time. But pushing through those moments when you're writing and you feel like you want to quit, it's going to help you to grow. I just got a couple more. You know something someone else needs to know. All of you that are in this room, I guarantee you there's something that we can learn from you. There's something that you can teach us, something that you can help us with. You know, one of the biggest reasons people never write is because they think, who am I to write a book? You know, but perhaps the better question is, what have I learned that can help somebody else? Like, for instance, I can't wait till Elder Perry write a book about ministry, because I know he's had some experiences that can help us. You know, the people that are in this room, you've had experiences that can help so many other people, not only while we're still here, but even after you've gone to heaven, and even after you've left this earth. There's experiences that you have learned that can help so many other people. And don't think you got to have a doctorate or 1 million followers on social media. You don't even need to be famous. I forgot her name. I think the lady who wrote the Harry Potter series. I think, wasn't she like a, was she like she wrote her thing like on a napkin, and while she was a waitress or something, I think. And I mean, we see what that's went like. I mean, we rode, if I had time, I'd tell you about the roller coaster experience we had at Epic on Harry Potter. I'm not getting on that thing again. But she wasn't famous when she wrote that whole series. Now it's everywhere. So many others. You don't have to be famous. You just simply need something meaningful to share. And then here's, let's see, I think I have, is it just one more? One more? Yeah, one more. Here we go. Number 8. The book you don't write can never help anyone. Let me tell you something. There are cemeteries filled with unwritten books. Ideas that were never developed, stories that were never told, lessons that were never shared, wisdom that was never recorded. Many people say, one day I'm going to write a book, but one day has killed countless dreams. You don't have to write 300 pages, 200 pages, or even 100 pages. You don't have to finish it this month. You don't even have to know exactly how you're going to publish it. You simply have to start. Write the first paragraph, write the first sentence, write the first page, the first chapter, because you can't finish something you never began. The big question, if you knew that one person would read your book and their life will become better because you wrote it, would that be enough reason to write it? Because somewhere there may be a person who needs the wisdom, encouragement, experience, or message that only you can tell from your perspective. Don't have to be famous or perfect, and you don't have to know everything to write a book. You just need something worth saying and the courage to start saying it. I want to just kind of show maybe a few of the books that we have, and a few of the books I've done, or literally all of the books. My first book, this is something that I wrote, for our church years ago. After people had became Christians, a lot of people I found out they just didn't know what to do next. And so I wrote the first book, Now That You're Saved, What's Next? And then the next book that really is something, this is like my baby. Y'all know we all got that one child we love. We love all our children. But that one child we really love? Big Ministry in Small Places is that one book I really love, because I would have so many people come to me and they say, hey, how is it that I can build a church or start a church in a small community? Because, of course, Union County is the smallest county in the state of Florida. And I'll be honest with you, it's really hard to have a church in a smaller community. And this is just a book from some of the things I've learned, about doing ministry in small places. And, we're getting ready in our church to celebrate 29 years of ministry, and just kind of, it's just a compilation of experiences that I've had and things I've learned along the way. So that's my baby. The next one is Relation Tips. This is something for me and my wife. I don't know if I brought even copies of that one, but this is one where it's like short, I guess you would say tweetable, short posts in the book of just tips for marriages and friendships and things of that nature. Probably my second baby right here that I really love is the Red Zone, because I'm a big football fan. I'm a huge football fan, and I used to be the chaplain for the Gators for Urban Meyer for a couple years in 2006 and 2007. And while I was the chaplain for the team, I used to always see them practice red zone offense stuff. And I learned quite a bit from that experience. And in the book, I used the word RED as an acronym, which stands for Relationships, Environment, and Devotion. And I talk about how if we're going to score in the red zone, we have to do well with our relationships, we have to be in the right environment, and we have to have devotion. And so that's really big. You heard me talk a little bit about Together. Man Up is kind of a follow-up to Red Zone. It is a devotional book for men. It's 101 devotions for men of courage. I do it's about 600 men I send texts out to every morning other than weekends. And I've been doing this, about how long I've been doing it? What, 4 years. And I wake up every morning at 4:45 every morning. And I'm on the treadmill. I do 3. So if you ever see the light on, this is my neighbor, Miss Annie. So if you ever see the light on in our room in the front, it's because I'm on the treadmill 4:45 every morning doing 3 miles. And when I'm on the treadmill, I'm sending texts out to these guys every morning. And so what I decided to do is kind of turn those text messages into a book. So it's kind of like a devotional for men in printed form of some of the text messages that I sent out to men each morning. So really excited about that. And then special delivery. This is that new baby. This is that new baby, that I really love. Special delivery is a book to really help people to share the message that they might have, whether it be being a teacher, being a public speaker, being a preacher, being a coach, you name it, and helping them to deliver the messages that they have to whoever it is that they have to deliver it to. Because one thing I found out is that a lot of times the problem is not whether or not if people have a message or something to say, but a lot of times people don't know how to say it. And I've had the wonderful opportunity of talking in so many environments, from places like a library to I've spoken in barns, I've spoken in prisons, I've spoken, of course, in churches, I've spoken in school baccalaureates and graduations. I've spoken in just about every kind of place you can possibly think of. I've spoken on the side of lakes, I've spoken on boats. I mean, you name it. And I have just taken those experiences and applied them to this book, or put them in this book to hopefully help people to be better speakers. I've been speaking for quite some time. I'll be honest with you, I'm still always learning how to be a more impactful speaker. There's 3 people that really helped me to be great speakers in my life. There was a Sunday school teacher I had by the name of Catherine Harris. We called her Sister Harris in our neighborhood. And you probably remember, she worked at Spire. She made donuts up there before she retired. And she used to get kids in our neighborhood and take us, and we'll have Bible study every Monday. And I really wasn't going for the Bible study, but she had these lemon cookies and this juice. And I'd be like, man, I'm going to get them cookies and that juice. And every Monday, it'll be about 10 or 15 of us who would go. And all she would do is she'll take the Bible, she'll open it up, she'll read it to us, and then afterwards, she will have us to come up and quote verses or read from the Bible. And I never wanted to do it starting off. I was like, I don't want to stand up in front of my peers and stuff like that. But she always forced us. She said, hey, you're going to stand up here and you're going to talk. And that really helped me with public speaking, of getting over the fear of being in front of people. Then there was another lady by the name of Dot Green. I was in her 4-H group, and I was in a group called Public Speaking. We had a public speaking group where we went around to different state fairs. We went to Jacksonville Fair, Tampa Fair. We went to all these fairs, and it was pretty cool. I just wanted to be in it because they told us we was going to fairs. So I was like, that's going to be pretty cool. But it was developing a muscle in me to be a public speaker. We would have to get up in front of hundreds of people and speak. And it really did something for me as a 13 and 14-year-old. And then when I got to college, the first class I had to take was a class called Public Speaking, and which was crazy because when I got there, I first didn't have to take public speaking, but then all of the other electives were taken up. I think I was trying to get in like basket weaving or something so I could have an easy A. But the only thing that was left was public speaking. I was like, I don't want that. I'm going to fail that class. Well, I got in the class, and the lady was incredible. I always say this, if I can find that professor today, I will put her on my Christmas list every year. Because the 30 of us that was in that class for that semester, she made us get up in front of everybody. She made us talk. She made us speak. She taught us about hand movements. She taught us about stage presence. She taught us about even the things we wear. I mean, you name it. She taught us all these different things. And so special delivery is one that I really am passionate about. And then there's Anchored. This is my latest book that I'm really, really excited about. I will let y'all know, I had gotten an email from y'all know how Amazon do it sometimes. You think you're getting it the next day, then they'll email you and say it's been delayed. So my Anchored books won't be in till Thursday. But we are going to have some. The regular release is October 4th, but if anybody would still like to get them, you can get with me and we'll make that happen. All of these books, though, are now available on Amazon. You can purchase them on there. Even if you do Kindle, you can download them immediately, and they'll go directly to your phone or device. So, yeah, so I'm pretty excited about it. And let me let you know about Anchored really quick, and then I'm gonna be done. I wrote Anchored, and the subtitle is Holding Firm to Christ Through the College Years. I wrote it with my kids in mind because our oldest child, Patrick, he started college last year, and Princess is getting ready to start college. And so I was thinking about what advice would I give them as they go to college to help them hopefully stay grounded in their faith with God. Because I've seen a lot of kids, they go to college and they just turn out crazy. I mean, they just get buck wild, and so I'm like, what things could I give them that will hopefully help to anchor them in their relationship with God? And so that's what this book is all about. I'm really excited about that. If you have a kid who's getting ready to go to college or in college, I would suggest that would be something to definitely invest in. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I appreciate y'all this morning. Thank y'all so much. Does anybody have any questions? And two, because I want to say this, and I'll leave this up here too as well, or I don't know if anybody would like one, because somebody might ask, okay, well, how is it can I publish a book? I use Kindle Direct Publishing, which is the Amazon arm of publishing books. I do independent publishing simply because I love being able to own my content. I can kind of, do the pricing myself with the books, and then also I don't have to go through a middleman to sell my books. Now, probably next year, because I do want to start getting my books in like Hobby Lobby and other places, probably next year I'm going to sign with a company to sell my books. And that'll probably give me a little bit more money. I could take my wife to Texas Roadhouse or something like that. So get some of those good biscuits out of Texas, those rolls out of Texas Roadhouse. So, but no, but if there's anybody and anything that I could do, just in case if anybody ever is interested in something like that, please let me know, and I'll help you in a way I can. Any questions that any?
Signed up for your newest book. You have a list?
Yes, ma'am. And I can show you. Do you have Amazon?
I don't deal with that.
You don't deal with. I got you. I got you. You know what? You do.
Yeah.
You know what? And what I could do. I could probably even get with Pretty, and I could bring a couple books up here, and you could just sell it, and I get with you. And I want to sign it and date it too. I want to sign and date your book too. Yes. Good question. Good. Yes, ma'am.
I'm interested in you talk about people and their experiences.
Yes.
So, remembering back,
Yes.
have you ever had an experience in your talking and in your speech where you just thought, maybe I'm not getting to them. Or
Yes.
Maybe I'm not. Maybe they're not understanding.
Oh
what I'm
yes.
trying to say,
Oh
kind of
yes.
thing.
Yes. Very often. I think one of the things that I try to do is I read body language. Like even while I'm talking to y'all, you guys are engaged. Y'all are sitting up, so obviously y'all are listening to me. But a lot of times, like if I'm going, especially when I'm talking to kids, Like if they're sitting back like this, you know, if they're on their phones or, you know, I'm like, they're not getting this. I'm finna cut this short. I'm finna go across the field and I'm finna go to point 10 and just let this be over. But yes, I definitely have those experiences. I try to do this thing and I talk about it in the book, Special Delivery. And I want to tell you, whether you're a teacher, preacher, whatever, this book on being a good speaker will really, really help you. You know, and I think it'll really be a blessing to you. But I've had those experiences a whole lot. I try to do this thing called reading the room. They call it reading the room, where, and that's why things like eye contact is very important. Looking at body language is very important. So yeah, I've had those experiences, but that's a really good question. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Anything on book writing? Yes, ma'am.
What if you have information, you're writing it down and you put it down, but you don't know if it's like worded right? Do you have somebody to not change your story?
That is a very good question. I'm gonna let y'all know. I don't know if any of y'all know Sharon Moodingham. She's from Lake Butler. She was on the library board. I'm still good friends with her. This is my mom, but Sharon Moodingham is like my second mom. I talk to her all the time. And that's my mother-in-law that asked the question. But all of my books I send to Sharon Moodingham. And Sharon Moodingham, she edits all of my books because she was my teacher also in elementary school. And we have a really, really close relationship. And she's so funny, you know, like, she'll like send me a message in Facebook, but I'd be like, Ms. Mooneyham, you have my number. Why are you sending me a message in Facebook? I'm like, just text me, Ms. Mooneyham. But I send her my books, and what she does is she goes through them, and she might be like, Patrick, this don't make sense. Or Patrick, I like this. Or Patrick, this is really good. Patrick, this is really bad. It's like getting a paper when you're in school all over again. I'm like, you're traumatizing me all over. Like, there's too many red marks on my book. So what I do is I send her the book like in PDF file, and then she looks it over. I send it to my mom. I sometimes don't like sending books to my mom because I get real mad at my mama. She'd be like, why you put that? You know, why you did? I'd be like, I'm not sending my books to my mama no more because we be about to fight. We be about to fight. But yes, you want someone to be a third eye to look at your books and see if it makes sense, you know, and see how will that sound, because there's just things you're going to miss you reading it yourself. Right. So you got to have somebody like that. And it doesn't have to be a professional editor. It could just be somebody be like, hey, I want you to read this. Tell me what you think, and you go from there. But yeah, good question. Any other questions that y'all might have? Yes, ma'am, and then here. Yes, ma'am.
Are your Amazon books signed?
They're not, but any books that I have here, I can sign. Yep. Unfortunately, because the way they do it on Amazon, they print them at their warehouse, so I wouldn't be able to get there to sign those. But yeah, all of these are that I do here, I can sign. Yes, ma'am.
You ever, when you write a book, you ever get to a point where it's like, how am I going to
Yes.
end it?
The ending is always tough.
It's like, okay, I'm stuck here.
Exactly. I get writer's block sometimes.
Not so much that you don't know anymore what to write.
Right.
That, okay, this is the beginning, this is the middle.
Exactly.
and this is the end.
Exactly. And I think, you know, I did pay a lot of attention, like when I was in school, like Miss Roberts and Miss Johns. Y'all remember when you do the web in school, where you had the beginning, and you know, I'm talking about as a teacher, and you know, you had to do the whole outline first. So I try to do that when I do a book. I first write down all the chapters. That's one of the first things I do. Like, for instance, Special Delivery, I already knew I wanted it to be 15 chapters. So I first wrote down every chapter that I wanted to title them, and information that I wanted in them. And then I would go and write the information in the chapters. That makes it a little bit easier, but it's still sometimes difficult to think, how am I going to end this book? Because many times when people read books, the last thing you write is the thing they remember the most. And so I want them to be able to remember something that once they close that book and they finished it, that they're able to say this was a good book? Yeah, that's a good question. Good question. Any others? I got some time. Any others? Well, cool. Well, again, thank you all. I'd love for you to purchase any of the books, and I'm going to be here for a good little bit, and those kids can wait at the school. And I love to sign your book. The books on, I'm doing a special rate on all, the books on Amazon are more expensive. I'm selling them $20 each here. They're more expensive on Amazon, so I don't want y'all to have to spend the Amazon price. But I've got plenty of each. I love to sign them and take pictures with y'all. Again, Pretty, thank you for inviting me. I've enjoyed this again. One other thing, I think is the Red Zone. That one is Audible. I recorded that one too. If any of y'all do Audible, that one's on there. And hopefully next year I have an outline too as well. I got 2 books that I'm gonna release next year too as well. So I'm trying to write as much as I can before I go home to be with the Lord. So yeah. So, but thank y'all for the encouragement, and thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
So do you have any of your first book here now that?
I didn't bring any of that one, unfortunately, but I can get copies for you. I can definitely.
Well, if I go ahead and get it off of Amazon.
You can get it off Amazon. It is on Amazon.
Can I give it to?
You give it to Pretty, and I'd love to sign it. I love to sign it. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Yes, definitely.
I'm not leaving.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You're good. And
You have some of the, so if I go ahead and pay you today for that book, can you give one to?
I can. Yes, ma'am, I can. And again, if anybody would like this information on how to publish a book, I got the step-by-step steps on how to publish a book. And then also, if you got anything you want to ask me about publishing, I would love to do that. So again, thank y'all so much. Thank you. Oh, let me say this.